Alright, this is a demo and tutorial for Folktek Matter, eurorack module. It's primarily a drum synthesizer, drum voice, but we can use it for oscillation, we can use it for creating drone, and all sorts of stuff. But today we're just going to create a beat using the internal synthesis and going over some of the functions here. Now, we've got these 8 CV ins. Those will also accept gate. They're called CV ins because a gate just sends that pulse of voltage. CV ins are going to allow for a greater possibility, sometimes not always. So we'll see how that works once we get going. Now I've got these patched already. We want to patch, these represent these trigger points. We want to patch closest with our jumpers, closest to the input triggers. Those are going to be the points that we jump to the main synthesis patch bay. So I go ahead and put them in first. It just makes it easier to have them at the ready. So I put them all in there and get it going. I'm going to turn up the noise. There, hella noisy. Now we can patch that noise out if we want by just creating a drag jump. But we don't really want to do that because we're changing the fundamental characteristic of the sound, and that's not necessarily a good thing. Sometimes we want that noise to exist. We can decide later if we want to get rid of it. For now, let's leave it there. And we'll start by sending a gate signal from the Arcturian beatstep Pro into Matter. Let's give it a jump. And we can pick and choose what sounds we want. Matter is heavy on the little clicky sounds because I love little clicky sounds. Ever since clicks and cuts or statism, I just kind of became obsessed with it. So that's how I designed this baby. You'll notice here there are double clicks. Click, 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 click. Now that's because of the gate length. The sound is actually triggered at 2 points with a gate or even with a CV. That's the peak of the attack and the peak of the release. So we can adjust that sound by adjusting the length of the gate. There you hear. Start very tight, and the further out we get, the longer the gate, the more doubled up the sound gets. And that's about as far as it goes right there. That's good because it allows for more complexity with the rhythms. But let's start by just finding any damn sound. And let's patch the second one. This is from the beatstep Pro pad number 2. Right there you can see it lights up according to the CV coming in. Damn this cable. Get out of my way. Alright, now let's jump this one. I've got this really basic 32-step sequence happening right now. Just pre-set up so that we can do this quick and easy. And we'll just jump it around, pick the sound we want. There we go. Now let's take the beatstep output 3 and jump right to the third CV input. All right, and let's take number 4. Now you can see we're patching out the noise, but now the the little noise burst is being replaced with a little clicky sound. All right. Now, output number 5 from the BeatStep Pro is actually sending a pulse to the left side of peg to create a little envelope. That's the 4ms pingable envelope generator. So you can see here I've got my little envelope going. Let's adjust the shape of that a little bit. And we can patch this however we like, and we're going to start getting some shaped sounds. Let's turn the voltage output down a little bit, the scale, adjust the curve. Alright, that's cool for now. And the gate number 6 from the BeatStep is going into the right side of peg. So we'll jumper that in as well. And just pick where we want that to be. There we go. Yeah. Good, good. All right. Now we've got this really basic little thing happening. Let's take our, this is a CV output from the BeatStep, a little CV sequence. Let's see if we can get something going here. Maybe I'll patch it in to one that's already being triggered. Now this is number 1 being triggered at the same time as this little basic CV sequence. So that's changing the pitch of our first trigger. And now we've got this little beat happening. Now I can adjust the shape and the output level of the envelopes, and we're going to get these changes in sound. Let's change the scale. Let's change the curve. And get these little backwards sounds. Little clicky sounds. Let's change the scale of the second one. Ooh, little whistly sounds. Change the curve of that a little bit. Turn it back up. Little dingy sounds. Cool. All right, now let's explore the modulation, which we haven't touched on yet. The modulation is jumperable. As you can see, it's got a little header. This is a Vactral, so these are two sides of the Vactral. The modulation is represented by that extremely bright LED right there. But we can jump both of these points into the main patch point, and we'll start getting changes according to the Vactral-based modulation there. We can also send any CV. We can send any of these CVs in, actually, including this one, which is from our sequence, into the mod trig CV, and it's going to go through the Vactral modulation. So right now it would be active, and now it would be inactive. But we're just going to, first and foremost, just jump these points to see what kind of changes we can get. I know what I want to do because I've done this before. Let's see what happens when we go here. Alright. Get some modulation happening. Let's turn that down. Now you can hear we're getting some weird filtering happening. That's all internal filtering. Now we can also do some direct patching. We don't want to add that sound. That doesn't sound good. But by doing, by direct patching, we're going to change the fundamental characteristic of the sound, or permanently generate, trigger oscillators, generate sounds. So that's cool. And because it's a permanent patch, these envelopes are also going to be affected. Alright, now we've created a basic beat. Now we're using our modulation a little bit here. Let's get rid of the little beepy sound and put it back in here. And that's a basic sequence. Now this never needs to change. If we like the way it sounds, we like our little thing that's happening here, we can just leave it just like that. You can see that we can just change these out. You know. Get rid of some of this stuff. Changes from just kind of explore, see what we get. Now, here's our CV out for the modulation. We can jump that out. Get an input going here. And we'll send the output now to the filter. Have a listen. And we can also change the speed of the modulation. Now here's a basic little sequence. The BeatStep Pro is really weird. It always outputs voltage for some reason. Not my favorite thing. And there we go, we've created a basic beat. Now let's say we just change everything. Here's a different sequence. I'm just leaving it exactly as it is and turning on this really slow sequence just to see what happens. Right, so all our pegs, our envelopes are now really slow. I don't think the tempo's changed. Now the tempo's the same. And I can start doing hard patching and just experimenting, see what happens. And change the characteristics of the sound based on those hard patches. Now the patch bay in the future doesn't have to be used. We'll get rid of it by having these little cards that just plug in to Matter, which basically is going to create these sequences already. If you like, all these trigger points are already going to be set up. I can add circuitry for knob control. We can change the inputs here to change the pitch of an oscillator specifically. Some of these modules, these plugins will have the Vactral-based triggering, so we can get these, just give a very specific purpose to Matter, to say it's just a bass triggered drum sound or whatever. And that's the basics. This is the module. This is what's up. This is Matter.